Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. Now, we are joined by somebody trying to interrupt right in the middle of my intro, which is Chocolate saying, "Good to have you, Chocolate." Brian's Logic, 10th Man, Refracted Curvature, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome, one and all.
Good morning.
Shiny.
Hey, good afternoon.
People.
Wow, that is
Good morning.
8.5 on the enthusiasm level. Wow, very good stuff.
Sounds like they're in front of a concert.
These people are headbanging to the speakers, moshing like you wouldn't believe. Any evidence of a physical
Headbang
geometric?
into reality, baby.
Welcome to what reality? Mosh reality.
I said headbang into actual reality. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Hey,
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. Earth is flat. I can't do the growly death metal voice.
DMX.
I need to eat my microphone when I do it. Earth is flat. Did that work?
That was awesome.
Sounds like what my son listens to.
Death metal, man. You gotta love it. Right. Any evidence for physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
well, formerly is the key word. And no, it's not there. That's why we don't live on the ball, because it's not there.
Well, to assert it would contradict observations and measurements as well as the celestial sphere model. So there's that.
Hello, guys.
Problem is, nobody's believing any of the words we say.
Hey, Alan. Hey, Eli.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Go on, Brian.
No, you go, Ted.
No, I was going to say it's a funny
you
group
go.
of people, the anti-flat earthers and the ballers. All the evidence they thought they had is proven to be pseudo, and they still want to keep it.
Yeah, it's okay that pseudo means sham or fake or, that's okay.
Yeah,
Well,
because they're keeping it because it's been working for them for how long?
Working's an
Well,
interesting
it must
word.
be a good word because it must
There you
be a
go.
good word, Chocolate, because they got it in front of force space.
As you're here, Chocolate, I kept meaning, I just keep running out of time. Time is not my friend at the moment. To trim out
Work.
Sorry?
Work sounds like an effect.
Yeah, I'll win a conversation behind. I need to trim out that bit that Chocolate, you brought up about the law of the moon landing. I really want to trim out that conversation. I just haven't had time to do it. It's one of the few times that you get non-fundy related conversations that are worth trimming out. The law of the lunar landing.
What was that? The
what-
cannon? Cannon?
Whether it's
Cannon,
still,
that's the word I'm looking
Oh,
for.
that
Thank you.
one.
Yep.
The one where you cut off the show when we could still have gone another hour doing that.
Well, sorry. Stockwell goes good.
Arwen had the law. Chocolate had the cannon. Get it together, Nathan.
Okay, my bad.
Just for the audience sake, that's lore, L-O-R-E, not L-A-W, law.
Correct.
Yeah.
We'll get back into it, though, after housekeeping. So let's just rattle our
Hold
way
on.
through.
Talking about law, how about that little news flash that Brian posted this morning?
Newsflash.
But yeah, California politicians.
Yeah,
They're
Brian was trying to get Nathan to look at that in the pre-show. He's on the panel.
And Nathan was pretending that he wasn't really there.
I was, yeah, just for fun. Just for a bit of fun.
okay.
Right,
I'm presenting it right now.
Okay, cool. Let's have a look.
Right. So I'll read it out. California politicians, inspired by a recent UC Berkeley white paper, are mulling over new proposals that would make the denial of science an infringement of religious freedom.
Wow, no way!
What?
Yeah.
What? So they're literally admitting that if you deny science,
Uh-oh.
you're in contrast or a contravention of their religion of science. My God,
Uh-huh.
that's
Yeah.
mad.
And I know.
Wait, you hear the rest.
Yeah,
Go on,
yeah.
Alvin.
Rejection of basic tenets such as evolution and the Big Bang could, in specific circumstances, be classified as a form of prejudice, intolerance, or abuse.
Oh,
No,
this is
wait,
the
no.
greatest thing I've
Now
heard all
more than
day.
ever, I see this as the deconstruction of heliocentrism. I said this about 6 months ago. It'll just be put into the margins, put into the fringes. Like the simmer will reduce on the religion that is currently the Western world viewpoint that we're on a sphere. And they're declaring it. They're making it really clear that it's a religion. Domino's Pizza,
Well,
I'm going to take your order.
They're not saying it. They're just like suggesting it. Like, you don't have to think of it as a religion, but we're going to legally treat it now as a religion.
Not only that,
Right?
only a few months ago we were talking about us being fringe, but not a protected group. In other words, like gingers, we can fair game to attack flat earthers. There's no protection afforded to us because we're not a protected group. I know, I've looked it up, but we're not. So therefore, oi ginger, oi flat earther, perfectly acceptable.
Interesting, isn't it, that they're differentiating the two. So rejection of the basic tenets such as evolution and the Big Bang. That's a recognition now then that these are religious concepts that aren't supported by science.
Yep.
Because otherwise,
Yeah.
But it's a reversal of religious freedom. This isn't religious freedom. This is religious persecution. If you don't accept their religion, is what they're saying, then they have the right to persecute you for abuse.
That's legit what they're saying right there. If you don't accept this religion as your own, you can be charged with abuse. Wow.
How do you
Like
spell
Secret
tenant?
Warrior would say, this is glorious.
I wanted to look at the definition of it. How do you spell it? Because I'm just getting person who occupies a property.
Are you looking for Nathan?
Tenant.
T-E-N. Oh, a tenant. T-N-A-N-T.
T-E-N-E-T.
It's tenet.
Tenet. Okay,
tenant.
that's why I'm
Tenet.
getting it wrong. A principle
Well,
or
there's nobody
belief.
was
Here we go.
tentative.
Sorry,
What?
I've got it. Hold on. A principle or belief, especially one of the main principles of a religion or philosophy.
Uh-oh.
So
Well,
that if you question the main tenets of their belief, which is the main principle of the religion or their philosophy, my God, I just can't believe this. I, for the first time, think we might actually see the end of heliocentrism in our lifetime.
Well, see,
Yeah.
I think that's the last gasp of a dying religion. I do, or it's a attempt to drive out dissenters, is what this is. It's sort of like what you would consider the Catholic Church doing with the Inquisition. That's what that's the beginning of.
It's not quite that extreme, but I see the principle's the same. They're saying if you don't like what we have as our religion, you will be persecuted for it or punished for it if you take it upon yourself to, stand in opposition to this religious faith. Well, while you're not going to get burnt as a witch or whatever, but they're laying it down in black and white. There's no need to either, is there?
But no, there is a need to, because in our circle, with the black swan and the elevation angles, it's shown that it's a false pseudoscience that everyone's been accepting. So now they say, well, how do we keep it going? Well, let's make it a religion and have some protection for it.
Right. So while we're ridiculed as flat earthers, and it's perfectly acceptable to do so in mainstream Western world society, our opponents, who get all of our publicity, aren't categorized as fringed, now also have the extra protection of being a protected group. Hey, anti-flat earthers, you're part of a protected group now. What does that say?
Hold on, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different than denying a religion, because of the way they're stating it. So you can say that you don't believe in Christ all you want to, right? And there'll be no legal recourse for that. This is a little bit different than that, because they're saying if you deny their tenets of their religion, there will be punishment.
So if you deny a principle or belief, especially one of the main principles of a religion or philosophy, there will be consequences, because that's what a tenet is.
It's
Ladies,
isn't it?
Sanctus, Arwin.
Eli's trying to say something for a while there. He is.
Go on, Eli.
Thank you, Brian.
And I go after him.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hold on. Okay, Eli, then Brian, then Adam, then Arwin. Go ahead, Eli.
It's working, Adam. I was going to say, although heliocentrism is dying right before our eyes, it'll never be a satisfying meal, because this is just a spectrum. The way humans believe in its own sense, and it's like heliocentrism is going to die, but there's going to be some variation of it, and then some variation of that, and then one day it'll be totally different. But they'll never acknowledge anything. It'll never be edifying for us.
That was our foreign affairs correspondent Eli from Yugoslavia in a very deep cave.
Serious.
Just a reminder, and I'll do it when I know when it's my time in the queue. So who's next?
Brian.
I am. Then Adam and Arwin, and then you then Tent. I just have something small to say. The very first thing, as soon as I read that last night before I posted it, the very first thing that came straight to my mind was they're absolutely admitting that they have absolutely zero evidence for their claims, and they're terrified of us.
Yep.
And and any normal person reading that that's where they would start to think. That's what they would start to think, from my point of view.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think when people read that, they're going to think, well, good, they're finally getting those conspiracy theorists and nutters and rounding them up.
Yep.
Yeah, and for your average normie, they, on the whole, like the Matrix example where they say some minds are too old to be unlocked or whatever they describe it as, well, yeah, some people are stuck in the servitude, suckling at the teat of Big Daddy government and want to be, and don't want anybody to interfere with it, and will fight to protect it. Now, that is most people. So I think you're right, John, in that regard, but it doesn't alter the admission of what the heliocentrism rhetoric actually is, and it's being admitted there. Now, if we took that and literally shoved it in the face of somebody who comes and opposes us here, they'd say, yeah, you should be punished, or something like that. You know, they'd agree, wouldn't they?
Right. But they're going to overlook the actual words that they were used for the substance that they want defended. It's a declaration of religion, and they don't even realize it.
They're already agreeing just by the way they respond to us.
Okay, right. Adam, as Arwin's had his turn now. I class that as Arwin's.
I'm looking at this. I keep reading it. And there appears to be a category error at the start. There's new proposals that would make the denial of science an infringement. Okay, and they make that point. And this is where I'm struggling, because you can't deny science. It's true. Okay, but then we go on to the things that could upset the fundies. Yeah, and these things are not science, as we've demonstrated. They've got no science behind them whatsoever. So it truly appears to be first steps of a recognition that these tenets of evolution, the Big Bang, aren't supported by science and are protected. Yeah, and by protecting them under religious freedoms, it's a tacit acceptance that it's not science. It's not fact, which is why it needs protecting under religious freedoms.
But colloquially it is, though, isn't it? So I think I understand the context that they've phrased it as science, and you are correct. And if we were to ever be challenged on this, we would use that as the defence. We'd say, well, this isn't science, and it very specifically says it is. But colloquially, what is called science? Well, if you go back to 2015, when we were, I'll bundle us all together for this just so I don't pick on an individual, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, science has lied to us. Science needs to be stopped. No, it doesn't. We just didn't know what science was, and the terms were being hijacked. And they are here. But as a result of that hijacking, the generalised understanding of what is called quote-unquote science is anything a guy in a white coat or Neil deGrasse Tyson says you is the world you live in. That's science. Well, that's what they mean, contextually, when they use the colloquial use of the word science. And it's just for you or I or anybody who opposes it to say, well, this isn't science. There's my get out. But if you didn't know that, and you were, let's say, hauled over the coals for this, just for the sake of argument, and you didn't know that it didn't apply because it wasn't science, you might be screwed. I mean, I'm not suggesting that's going to be the case, but you know what I'm driving at. For many, many years, we've been saying the most critical thing that you need to understand if you're going to debate in this arena is what is science? What is it in reality? As opposed to what they say is science. And in this text, for the guy who comes along who's a glober, he believes it, he goes, yeah, absolutely. And it reaffirms the idea that he's got science that needs protecting. For the guy who's a normie who doesn't understand the argument, who comes along and sees that, oh, well, obviously it's a religion then, doesn't know that what they've labelled as science isn't science still. So he might get screwed if he starts to oppose it, so he might steer clear of opposing it. For us, we laugh at it, rejoice in the fact that they're admitting it's a religion, and say, well, you're never going to have us over a barrel on this. It's not science. But there's many different levels that you can interpret that text, right?
All right. The way I see it is it's got many roads in front of it to take. Number one is California. Number two, it's Berkeley. Number three, we've heard the last year, definitely, science deniers on another topic, that is. And so now it could be just as simple as, and this is option one, by the way. It could be as simple as, how do we get people to not fight science? Well, we're going to go here and we're going to use the Big Bang and evolution, since everyone believes that and won't fight that, as the basic tenets as we try to grab more freedoms from people by calling something else science, which obviously I'm not mentioning, because we've been told for a while that don't deny the science. So it could be a little step towards that. On the other hand, it could be a guy who got a good rear end whooping by listening to one of the FED shows and is pissed off and wants to do something.
And needs protection. Protection in your agreed upon by everybody in the Western world apart from us viewpoint. You need protection for that. I've been saying this for ages. You know, it's like, yeah, you do need promoting, you do need supporting, because you're wrong. So, yeah.
Well, there's something else to consider, too, is the anti-flat earthers stand against the rhetoric of the globe. Will they be affected as well?
Yeah, when they challenge the science of Earth turning beneath stuff to cause 15 degrees now drift. Yeah, you might end up in a lot of trouble, anti-flat earthers going against the globe rhetoric. It's protected. We might start pointing that out to you when you go against what we point out as being wrong with examples of how and why it's wrong, and then you just contradict it. You know, going against the science and all, not going to be tolerated.
Like, excuse me, anti-flat earther, do you happen to be going against your religious narrative that is now protected? That's terrible.
We're going to turn
what are
you into
saying the horizon isn't geometric and physical? Are you crazy? Nobody that.
Yeah, you better stick to your religious rhetoric that we take apart based on physical demonstrations of the obvious observable reality. You can't just say, well, who's expecting to see geometric horizons, aka Earth curve that block boats and buildings until we pointed out it didn't? Yeah, because you've got to stick to your religious fundy texts and your religious fundy beliefs about your protected fundy religion that you think you're protecting when you're actually going against it. Well, that's not allowed anymore, apparently, in certain places that we won't focus on. We'll keep that nice and vague.
Would it not be fair to ask Discord what they think? Because we often have our say, and Discord, there's people in Discord don't get to say anything.
That depends.
This is pretty important.
You got your tumbleweed sound effect ready? What do you think, Discord?
The Flat Earth officially have a new black swan that occurred last night. The planetary alignment I was watching live video of it. There's a video. I've got a screenshot of Venus at 1:43 a.m. Yeah, 1:43 a.m., which completely destroys the heliocentrism solar system.
Saying you've got an
The
observation of something where it's claimed
10
not to.
minutes past.
I'll try that again. Are you claiming that this is an observation that's not possible in the heliocentric version of the stars and their alignments?
Indeed, yes. Venus in the night sky was that was my last screenshot. Like I said, I had to go to bed last night. I was getting tired, but I wanted to get the latest one that I could.
How does this disprove heliocentrism?
No, it debunks it.
Yeah, how does it do that?
Because it's Venus in the night sky at 1:45 a.m.
Yeah, that's what you've just told us is the observation. But how does that debunk heliocentrism?
Well, if you can imagine the solar system, Mercury, Venus, Earth is the order that takes place. We shouldn't be seeing Venus at 1:45 in the morning. That's an impossibility according to their rhetoric.
Why is it?
Because it's physically impossible to see Venus at that time because, like I said, according to their rhetoric, it's the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth.
Sounds like a curved baseline, doesn't it?
Hold on. One deck. Okay. I got that the first time, but why would that make it impossible?
Well, like I said, if you can imagine
if the sun's on one side with Venus and Mercury orbiting at that point, if you've got the ball Earth facing the other way, how can ever Venus or Mercury intersect between that? Because their orbit is on the inside of it. It's impossible to. You can have some quarter alignment at the edge of the sun is where they try to fudge it in stellariums, but to see that is geometrically nonsensical when you're thinking of heliocentrics.
Thank you. I knew we'd get there in the end. We just needed Adam to paraphrase what you were explaining. Okay, great. Now I can conceptualize it. Thank you, Adam. Great. Wonderful.
That's good. Very good.
Yeah. Venus has always been a fascinating light to me. I'm sure I've mentioned this recently, but a few years back, I got a bit obsessed with it and could see it long after it was predicted to have disappeared, to the point where it reached my zenith. So I just thought, I'm just going to watch it. So I left the house, found where it was with the naked eye, and just watched it all the way through till, I don't know, not quite midday, but I don't know what time, maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. Late, far later than it was supposed to have disappeared at, which was something like early morning, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning it was supposed to be gone. But it certainly wasn't. And but for the clouds, as far as I was concerned, you could have still seen it all the way through the day. Now, cloud cover stopped me from seeing it, but it certainly wasn't supposed to reach my zenith, and it did.
I've had that thing disappear basically right in front of me. No cloud cover or anything. Literally saw that outside as the sun was coming up, as I was going into work. And I looked at it, and then I came back outside literally 2 minutes later to go get something from my car. And where it was completely blank. There was no star there, or no Venus there. And I was just like, that's crazy. Because it was literally just there. And now it's gone.
What was the elevation angle of Venus at 2:14 a.m.?
He's asking you, Matthias.
Oh, it
Roughly.
was at a quarter till 2, and I don't know.
Roughly in degrees, just roughly. How high above the horizon?
I have no idea. It was I was watching a live YouTube of the alignment, the so-called planetary alignment last night, and I happened to catch that.
They don't know how high above the horizon. Fair enough. He doesn't know.
I was just going to say, the elevation angle, you needed a flat plane to get that anyway, but never mind.
Right?
Fair enough. Any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
No, it's a geometric impossibility.
No, it's the other way around. You acquire a curved baseline from a horizontal plane.
Over 100
This
people
all
watching. Please share the show. Thank you very much for all of you smashed the share button already. Obviously, that's why we've got over 100 people watching right now. So if you've just joined us, very warm welcome. Thank you for joining. Probably because you've clicked on the share button. So please share the show if you haven't done so already. And good to have you all.
And
Any
reach out
evidence?
to your nearest heliocentrist, because apparently they are a protected class now. Coming hurtful for you guys. First it was space.com with how to debate a flat earther. Now we're skipping that whole part. Now it's just going to religious freedom.
I told you guys a long time ago, y'all were heliophobic.
Yeah. That's right. Mad though, isn't it? Mad times. Got to have your heliocentric religion protected. Wow. I can't quite believe it. Once the show's over, I'll digest this fully. But for now, you've heard my initial reaction. I'm quite amazed. I've got to be honest. Anyway,
the group that's protected, there's a name on the group. It's called Snowflakes Are Us.
No, what are us?
Snowflakes Are Us.
Yeah. There we go. We could moan all day about how we're being persecuted and shoved down the lists of YouTube and have absolutely no protection, even though we're in the minority and contrary to the entirety of the Western world's viewpoint. Yeah, you need more protection on the globe, obviously. That's how it should work out, right? That makes perfect sense. I love it.
So look,
Chocolate.
Ted, back to the previous point about Venus. Ted posted, "Why is Venus visible in the night sky?" And the claim is that you can only see Venus before sunrise, or just before sunrise, or just after sunset. And Matthias is saying, well, this was at like almost 2 o'clock in the morning. So right there, it's like,
Yeah, but Matthias said he was looking at it on a YouTube video. So the first thing I was thinking is, where was that YouTube video being taken? And where that's been taken, is that where is that?
Oh, what
place?
time was that?
Yeah, in that place, what would that suit the heliocentric model?
Right. Did you establish that, Matthias? Gone shy. Maybe not. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Outside of an elevation angle.
Will that give you a distance? Will that give you a distance?
Only geometrically to its zenith position, or the starting of a zenith position.
To its GP, you mean?
Yes.
Well, that's not a distance to it. That's a distance to where it's over.
Well, that's the best I got.
Yeah, that's no
Sorry.
good.
You can only get its angle, can't you? You can't get its distance. You can only get its angle above the horizon. That's it.
Claimed to be 93 million miles away by heliocentrists. Obviously, they're a protected religion, so I better not challenge that. It's science, right?
Yeah. Right.
Well, do you not see the situation here? They claim it's 93 million miles away because they want to say the light comes in parallel. And then they ask us, well, why can't Trig tell us how far it is away when Trig normally does? So you see, there's more to that than meets the eye.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, them attacking us with the internal, with the trigonometry, the internals of a triangle, and trying to claim this doesn't fit reality. One thing is for sure, using a flat plane to do your elevation angle, and using the distance to the GP position, which could be thousands of miles, definitely proves, first of all, that the Earth can't be a globe, and secondly, that even if we were wrong using that and them internals of a triangle, even if that came out to be wrong and it doesn't fit, it just proves that we don't know what the sun is, and it also isn't 93 million miles away, because it can't be under those conditions.
Well, the R value. Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
Well,
that would be the horizon at 1.2 miles, the 1 foot observer height, if there was an R value. But when we take their R value, the horizon, which they claim to be Earth curve, is...
Marooney did it. They've all done it, and they all used the flat baseline and angle measurements. No globe. The globe is dead. Enough said.
Cool. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Not without an R value.
Wow, scientific... Go on, Chocolate.
Nah, go ahead. Because I actually want to get to
any scientific evidence of gravity?
We didn't do rotation, did we?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
Any scientific evidence of gravity? Scientific evidence of gravity.
I think the latest gravity is just an imaginary place that doesn't exist, as far as I can gather.
What, pseudo four space? Space-time? Pseudo four space geometry?
Yeah.
Well, the same could be said to gravity, because you could think it exists, but it doesn't.
That's what he is talking about. That's what we're asking about.
Well, sorry, go on, Ted.
No, that's it.
Well,
it's a mathematical construct of imagination with absolutely no experimental validation.
But that basically says what I was going to say.
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Not before I say Chocolate put a rap to it.
That was just a chocolate bar for you real quick.
Nice one, Chocolate. That was good.
Any viable hypotheses?
Well, now, Nathan, after what we just saw there today, are we allowed to question that anymore?
Yeah, it says science, and we can define what that means. So, yeah, we can highlight the contradiction in the doublespeak. Like I say, if you're of the ilk that doesn't know that, though, then you might genuinely have a problem if you do start criticising it. I don't know if you gleaned that from Adam. Would you say that's true? So long as you're all clear, so long as you know what science is.
It's the same as all these fact checkers, isn't it? Getting your channels taken down if you don't fit their criteria. They'll just probably end up like that.
I doubt it. That's a direct ban on something like flat Earth. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
My dog stepped on a bee. Damn.
Eli, you're off mute. Eli. Eli.
Sorry.
Yeah, the whole point, again, back to that statement, is that they're trying to use the word science out of its context to prove political points. They take it to every sector of life. And if they disagree with you, they're going to say, well, you're going against the science. When there was never any science to begin with, they're just using that word that we've been programmed to think that has gone through a method that proves something. And then they use it for something that can't be proven or even go through the method and say it's science, as if we just got to accept it.
Well, if there was ever a day that validated quantum array science today, because of the fact that he made a point of telling people since 2016, which is 6 years, over and over again what science really was, and it's not what they've been claiming it is, and they can't support their claim scientifically, blah blah blah. This is absolute validation of that, because this is them putting up a wall, a wall of intimidation for anyone who attacks what they call science. But it would only be someone who knows what science actually is, like QE, who could I'm not losing the word I'm looking for, who could victoriously take them apart. But if you didn't know what science really was, they could shut you down. Simply just on specifics.
That's a good reason to share the show and get this information out there, because if you can't defend yourself in court, you'll be in trouble.
Yeah, that's what I was driving at. Nobody agreed with me until this point. You finally had the penny drop, it seems. Exactly. So long as we're laughing at it because we're like, yeah, it's not science. If you've got the word science and claiming that you're allowed to challenge something that is essentially your religious belief labelled as science, then we'll just point that out. And what are you going to do? Tell me that, no, it is science. Oh, yeah. Well, clearly you don't understand what science is. I do. Where are you going to go from there? Yeah, in other words, we won't have a problem. But somebody who doesn't know that may have a problem.
Right. And as far as the entertainment value goes, that's one thing, or the educational value, that's one thing. But at this point, it almost becomes a moral obligation to share the show to protect your friends and family.
I think what John's driving at is, I'm stressing the importance via us and our lack of concern. Whereas if we flip that on its head and say, if you didn't know this, and suddenly you fall foul and somebody's claiming that you should be getting in trouble for attacking a protected religious faith, even though it's not phrased that way, you might find yourself at the end of a barrel you don't know how to deal with. And this show, right now, is explaining how. Now, it's not necessarily the case that we're going to disseminate on this show what science is, although we may cover it in this live show, we'll see. But knowing what science is means that that statement becomes nonsensical, and you've got a perfect defence against it. But without knowing that, you might not. So please share the show. As a reminder, can someone pop it back up on screen? Can we screen share what we're talking about right now? Because there's, well over 100 people, 125 people watching. And they may have joined and not know what we're actually referencing. So if someone can share it, just someone can put it up on screen and just summarise it.
It's in Master B, Nathan. It's in Master B if you want to look back, if you want to get it, yeah. And the Warren. What it actually is a double hijack. But they're hijacking the word science first, right? So don't you go against science, right? That's all the stuff we say it is, right? And then they're hijacking the word religion, right? You can't attack us because we're a protected religion. It is scientism, the religion of scientism, pseudo-scientism. So it's a double hijack, is what it is.
Well, since today we have the religion aspect, again, with a grain of salt because it's Berkeley, but I could see it mushrooming, and science, it's very similar to these non-Christian cults I, as a Christian, have run into, because I'll say, well, why do you believe that? Well, because God said so. And I go, well, how do you know God said it? Well, it's in the Bible. I said, well, can you show it to me, please? And so what we do here is we say, why do you believe that? They go, well, science proves it. Oh, well, what is science? Can you show me the definition of science? And so what we've done here is the same thing. We ask those pertinent questions, and all of a sudden they realize they've accepted something without research and been following a cult leader rather than seeing what the word meant and could it be applied to what they're claiming. And when we do, ball game over.
Well, the word that they left out in front of science was natural. And QE always stresses this. You have to be specific. It's natural science. They didn't say anything about natural science. They just science, which covers in people's minds all kinds of things. Sunglasses, smartphones, agriculture, all kinds of things are under the remit or whatever of science. The description of science in the general, according to general belief, because that's what they've been taught.
Well,
but they left out physics, natural science.
Doesn't science generally mean knowledge? And now we're asking them about how they get the knowledge for a certain claim they make. And then we say, what method did you go through to get that knowledge? So what method do you go to? What method do you go through to make a smartphone versus what method do you go through for the Earth, which is natural?
It depends on what they're talking about. It depends on what they're talking about. If they're talking about natural science and the way that we understand it today, while trying to pass that off as something that's gone through the scientific method but didn't, that'd be different from someone just saying, well, this is knowledge and this is my method for it and yada yada yada. But the people that we are arguing against today, they're not doing that. They're definitely trying to trounce around under what we understand as natural science.
Yeah, but Eli, I don't think that the makers of cell phones across the world, whatever company makes cell phones, has the scientific method looking for DV, IV, CV, it's technology.
Well, the things that they put in as their basic tenets, which was the Big Bang and evolution, there is no physics evidence for these things. There is no actual scientific evidence for these things. And that's the thing, they're the two big things they wanted passed, evolution and the Big Bang, as they are the backbone of heliocentrism. Next they'll be saying you can't say the speed of light is wrong. Do you know what I mean?
I totally agree with you, but at the same time, like I said, that could be used as, hey, since Big Bang and these things, evolution, are true, don't attack the rest of it because you're not going to be allowed to. Because look at the education system. You can't even go through higher education without marking your test answers that those things are true. So they totally program people to think evolution and heliocentrism and all these things are true, Big Bang and all. But it's not, as you say, because no one even challenges them there, because they have full science departments in universities assuming it's true. So now they're saying, yeah, just like the Big Bang and evolution is our tenets, okay? So don't even try on the other subject matters either.
Yeah, but they use the word basic. They're basic tenets. Sorry, 1 second, Chocolate. Just they use the word basic. The basic tenets of evolution, Big Bang. It's like, we know they're real. So, no, you don't go against them. But they are actually in opposition to physics. They are in they're physics denial. That's what they're in. And that's what they're trying to pass off. Sorry, John.
Yeah, but John, before you go, that's what I'm saying. But in their world of lies, it's in the physics department that they're told those things are true with no physics to back them. Go ahead, John.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say is, do you think a heliocentrist will ever disavow natural science? Is this really a point of that we think will become in contention, that they'll say, oh, we're not doing natural science?
They do that, but not global.
Well, that's anti-flat earthers.
Do that.
There are plenty of heliocentrists that'll say, oh, I don't believe in evolution. So what should happen to them? Should that person be persecuted?
Hold on. I've got a much better example. Quote, science doesn't prove anything. Hold on. Science doesn't prove anything, end quote. How many times have you heard that?
Plenty. But only from the anti-flat earthers. and some of the Globers that we've encountered, not the people who are actually purporting their pseudoscience as science. They don't say that because science is their stance, right? So for them to say science doesn't prove things, would it make sense?
Right, because science not proving anything is not necessarily a slander on the specific story, like evolution or Big Bang, right?
Why
It's
call it
just
science?
A random declaration.
Why call it why protect the science then? It's a contradiction in terms. I think it was Adam that first pointed it out, and he's absolutely right. But quick shout out to Godzilla37. He says, just be thankful, Nathan, that Berkeley haven't passed a law making it illegal to miss super chats. Thank you very much for your super chat. Really appreciate the support.
So I wanted to relate this back because this article that we're talking about today kind of just reminds me of the article we talked about before in the space.com titled How to Debate a Flat Earther. And remember how it ended. I'll read the last couple of sentences from it. So it's arguing from evidence, right? However, I don't think this discussion is really about the actual evidence or the scientific process. People who believe that the Earth is flat aren't coming to that conclusion from the same types of observations. They instead believe that we are being misled and lied to, that scientists, including me, want you to believe that the Earth is round despite its flatness. So the question isn't why do people believe in a flat Earth, but rather, why do people believe in a conspiracy? And the answer is the same reason it always is, a lack of trust. End quote. So it's almost like there was, not to use the word, but an evolution from this to that article we're reading about today. Is that, it's not about the evidence. It's about you guys don't trust us. You guys need to trust us.
Chocolate, isn't it interesting? Chocolate, isn't it interesting that Phil B in chat on the YouTube says, science does not prove anything. Science deals with degrees of confidence, all caps. It's just funny how people like to have their own. It's funny how people like to have their own interpretation so it can fit their bias.
Confidence, so we got to trust him. We got to have confidence in him.
So is he proving my point? In real time?
Do you know where the word con comes from?
Yeah.
Con man.
Yeah, but what's con?
It's that you get your confidence in someone.
Exactly.
It's like a trick.
It's a confidence man. So a couple of days ago, I described the bait and switch, and I gave an example from a movie called Matchstick Men. And the bait and switch is a process of building up a man's confidence in his ability to transfer money from one fund to another and have it increase exponentially. So they build his confidence by letting him do it once and have it go through without a hitch. So when he wants to do it with more money, he has the confidence to give him a much bigger, substantially larger amount of money. And then when they cause a distraction and swap the suitcase for one that's full of nothing, just a load of paper, he walks off confident that he's got a suitcase with all the money he's just supposed to be getting. Well, that's a con. So we're supposed to have confidence, are we? Oh, yeah, that's a very interesting turn of phrase.
Very interesting.
I mean, this comes as your own side is declaring that you guys should be a protected class because apparently we can't go against your religiosity and having a different idea about what the nature of the earth is. That's insane. And you're in the chat talking about it's about confidence. When the hell is science about confidence? What are you talking about?
No, storytelling is all about confidence, right? A good story cannot really be told well without confidence. So they know they're a religion. They know everything is story-based with a canon and all that. And they're just denying it. They're just denying it. But they're already building a legal framework to back that religious position. But they will remain in denial about it being a religion, though.
Well, like I said, you have to make, hang on. Like I said, you have to make up stuff to fit your bias. So now Phil B says confidence is a statistical term. Well, I mean, just to be able to speak and grab any word in the air in any context and make it fit your bias, that's what you want us to believe, Mike.
Well, since when was science about statistics? Why are you using a statistical word in the context of science? Science should be empirical, buddy.
Right, but this is the magic, isn't it? This convolution of the words and their meanings, that is magic. That's the trick.
Right, and when he says probability, that means he doesn't know anything. If he has a probability of being right. If you know something, you know it.
Just going on what Chocolate read out earlier, from there until today, with what we have now today, it's not even that big of a span of time, like maybe a year or two. And the thing about it is that they went from kind of basically saying we need to get these people's trust to ye better do what you're told and not question us or else. You know, when you hear that change, you can see the change. It's a fear thing because they know. And this is one of the things I read out of that when I looked at it last night. One of the kind of side tributaries from it was they know the time is coming when they are going to have to address us. Now, I'm not talking about these anti-flat earthers. I'm talking about the Neil deGrasse Tyson types. They know the time is coming when they're going to have to address us. So they're trying to put up a wall of protection to stop that happening because they've avoided us. Like the Neil deGrasse Tysons, the Brian Coxes, they've avoided us for years. You know what I mean? Whereas we've been stuck with, the people on Discord and different things. Whereas these other people have gotten to be on TV and have several million followers on YouTube and Twitter and be spouting out a load of nonsense. But they know the time is coming when they're worried that they won't be able to do that for much longer. So now they're trying to put up a protective wall.
Although you haven't got a crystal ball, I kind of agree. I think that a lot of the people we confront here, and therefore you can disseminate that into the wider stereotype, if you will. Yeah, they fear us, and that's what you're kind of disseminating there. However, I don't agree with the sentiment in regards that they should or shouldn't be doing anything with us. We're not owed anything by Neil deGrasse Tyson or Brian Cox. So while you say we're stuck with the people in Discord, I don't really see it that way. You know, it's down to me as an individual, as a YouTuber, to build a platform and have useful information like this, which has come from you guys, where you're showing, there could potentially, I know they're only mulling it over, as it puts in the article, but there could potentially be a change in the law that leads you to be in trouble for doing this. Why? Well, because the lies of the heliocentric model need protecting. Well, but you need to be on guard for their own protection, because it might end up affording you some danger. Therefore, we might build the show as a result of that, as John suggested. And that means that we are just disseminating the information that we disseminate to whoever we disseminate it to. Does it matter that there's an opposition from Brian Cox? Does it matter that he hasn't come and addressed us? I don't care if Brian Cox addresses me. I'll use him as a hostile witness. He's got a great quote about gravity not really being a force at all. Same goes for Neil deGrasse Tyson. But am I chasing down Neil deGrasse Tyson to come on and talk to us so we can show him to be wrong? I don't lack the confidence. I don't feel the need to do that. I just don't. Yeah. I don't feel that I've got to show Brian Cox how he's wrong. I don't care. I know I'm right. I don't care.
We don't have. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, John. 1 second. We don't have that. I'm not looking to talk to them either. But the problem is, people are going to be pointing out to them in the not too distant future. How come you're not addressing Nathan Oakley? How come you're not addressing Quantum Eraser? You know what I mean? We're not looking to talk to these people anymore. Maybe some years ago we were. Now we can use them as hostile witnesses. But the general public will start pointing out, what about these people over here? How come you never address those people? That's my point. They're worried about that.
Hold on just 1 second. Did you want to add something? BCFC Island? Or are you just hot micing?
Right. I had a detailed question about...
Owen, can you not detect that I'm trying to get someone's attention?
Oh, well...
By me using their name, not yours. Thanks. BCFC Island, did you want to add something, or can you pop yourself on mute if not? Wow. Okay.
I knew that. Right. So I had a point. It's a bit nitpicky, but it's back to like the news article about the Californian religious protection for the ball religion. Well, there's this thing about religion, you see. Something only becomes recognized as a religion, I think, if there is a certain amount of people that officially sign onto it, onto the religion. Like they make a note, like I'm this religion, right? Like the square, the circle, all that throughout history. So where is this science heliocentrism religion registered, and wouldn't everybody have to register as that religion to gain the legal benefits that might come out with it?
An interesting question. Shout out to Luke 10:19. Maybe someone will tell me what that reference is for the euro. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
The dominant religion would not have to register.
Yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do.
Can you just let him oppose you, Arwin? Go ahead, John.
All other religions register to the dominant religion. That's how it works. That's because that's your authority.
Oh, really? So what's the dominant religion for heliocentrism?
Heliocentrism is the dominant religion. That is the one world Western religion. Heliocentrism, if you're new here and you didn't realise this, the one world religion they talk about is heliocentrism.
That's nice. That's effectively true, but this is about a legal issue, right? The article addresses we're going to do something legally with it. Well, if it's legal, then you have to register as an official religion.
As a minority religion. What John's saying is, as the majority religion, you don't have to worry about registering as a minority religion.
No, but it's not about that. This is about the legal tying in of something. It has to then be registered. You can't just say, "Oh, it's a religion" because everybody believes it. If it's
I don't think that's going to be a problem.
If it's a minority
that's not going to be a
religion,
problem,
do
is
you
it?
agree or disagree?
If you control the gears and cogs, then you control the gears and cogs, Arwin. I don't think that's going to be an issue. I really don't.
Yeah, it is going to be an issue.
Well, before you push back, when I asked you, I said, well, his rebuttal to you is the thing that you just said, only when you're a minority religion. You have to, do you agree or disagree? And if you disagree, okay, so justify your disagreement.
Well, you can just say, "Oh, I'm this, I'm that." Well, if you don't have proof for that, it's going to be legally ignored.
You don't know that's the case,
Yeah,
but it's more. Hold on. The challenge is just wrong. I don't. Hello, can you hear me? I don't disagree with that, but the challenge is wrong. It's not down to Arwin to prove it. It's down to John. If John's positive assertion is that only the minority religions. What's going on? Just try that for a third time.
I'll give an example.
Go on, John.
In Rome, the Roman Catholic Church does not have to register as a religion.
Yeah, but it is, though.
Yeah, by default. That's his point.
No, but it is registered as a religion because then you can have religious influences through the legal system.
Now Arwin's made the positive claim. Show me where it's registered then. He's just giving you a specific example. He doesn't have to prove non-existence. But if you're going to contradict that and say that, no, they are registered, then you can show that. You're now making the positive claim.
If you're going to go to a court about something that involves a religion, or better, your religion, you're going to have to bring proof that you are registered for that religion.
Right, and you're
going
saying,
to have to prove it.
Okay,
you can't
so
just
show
randomly
it
make
for
it
Rome.
up.
Okay, so show it. If you contest that they do have to register, then you'd be able to show that registration for you to have that positive claim proved. Or you can just concede that you haven't got that, which I know you haven't.
So that this is a basic mechanic and it functions with everything like that. If you have it,
lovely. That's a nice
system,
sweeping. Okay, I don't need the sweeping generalization. I just need you to show me the registration for that religion in Rome. If you haven't got it, you haven't got it.
In Rome?
Yeah,
Dude, I've
to
never even
contradict
been there,
John's point.
Yeah, so John's caveat is, well, unless you're the prevailing major religion, then you would have to do everything that you are saying is required. So his caveat is, unless you're a major religion, for example, like Catholics in Rome. And so your rebuttal to that is what?
Well, I'm bypassing that entirely, saying that.
On that note, I'm going to round out the live show then. With that, I'll say a huge, massive, enormous thank you first and foremost to both Discord and Dupless panels for making today's live show possible. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and Dupless panels, and of course a massive thank you to all of you in the live audience for smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a member, definitely sharing the show today, as I think it is actually worthwhile to get this information out that we've covered today. So please share the show. Stay tuned if you're watching on an after show. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!